All right, let's kick off this deep dive, shall we? We're taking a look at the Key of Solomon, and not just any edition.
Right.
We're talking about that fascinating 1999 edition, the one translated from, get this, 7 different ancient manuscripts.
Son.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It really adds another layer of mystery, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle within a puzzle.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're diving deep into this text. It's considered like one of the most important books in Kabbalistic magic, maybe even a source for, medieval ceremonial magic, that sort of thing. I mean, who wouldn't be fascinated by a text that promises to unlock the secrets of, pentacles and rituals, invocations?
Commanding spirits.
Exactly. Commanding spirits. That's the one that always gets me. So throughout this deep dive, we're going to explore all sorts of things. Its history, structure, how it's been used.
And, the ethical considerations, because those are definitely in there.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot to unpack there for sure.
Right.
Okay, so let's get right into it. I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated by this book. I mean, it's the Key of Solomon. Where do we even begin?
Well, maybe we should start with the fact that it's structured almost like 2 separate volumes, I guess you could say. They're filled with all sorts of things: prayers, conjurations, rituals, instructions for crafting pentacles. It's like a blueprint for, working with magical forces.
Okay, that's a good place to start. And one of the things that struck me right away was the level of, detail involved.
Yeah.
The Key of Solomon it's not for the casual magic enthusiast, right? It's like you have to be really committed to this path.
Oh, absolutely. It's very clear about that. From the beginning, it's presented as if Solomon himself wrote it, like he's passing his knowledge down through the ages,
So it's like this direct lineage of magic. I love that.
It was hidden in his tomb, eventually rediscovered. I mean, come on. It's a story in itself.
Absolutely. It just adds to the mystique.
Mm.
And speaking of mystique, one of the things that really caught my eye was the emphasis on preparation. You can't just, snap your fingers and cast a spell. There are very specific things you need to do to prepare yourself and the space around you.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to timing, the days, the hours, even the astrological alignments. All of that is crucial, or at least that's what the text says.
Right. You can't just do a spell on a Tuesday afternoon because you feel like it. There's a whole cosmic calendar to consider. And speaking of timing, I noticed that the days and hours of Saturn, those are considered ideal for certain operations. I have to admit, that one caught my eye.
Yes. Like summoning souls from Hades.
Wait, what? Summoning souls from Hades. Okay, now you have my full attention.
Or, even influencing the fortune of buildings.
Influencing the fortune of buildings, what exactly does that mean? Are we talking good feng shui or something a little more dramatic?
That's kind of left to the reader's imagination,
Yeah.
which is part of the fun, right?
That's true. It's like this open invitation to explore those possibilities.
Okay.
And it speaks to the idea that everything is connected, right? Like the celestial bodies, our actions here on Earth, all of it. Okay, so you've got your timing down, you're aligned with the cosmos. What's next? Do you just jump right into the actual spell casting?
Well, not quite. We can't forget about the consecrated circle. It's like a fundamental part of this whole process. It's not just symbolic or decorative. It's about creating a safe and effective space for the ritual.
Right, so it's like you're creating this energetic boundary, like a container for all that magical energy. It's a safety measure, but it's also it's amplifying the ritual.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your carefully timed ritual, your circle of protection, and then, well, that's when things get interesting.
The main event, the conjuring of spirits. Now that's a topic we could spend hours on, and I'm sure we will. But for now, can you give us a little sneak peek into what that process entails?
Okay, so the Key of Solomon is very specific about this. There's a whole sequence of actions: confessions, prayers, using those pentacles we were talking about. It's like a step-by-step guide to this very powerful interaction.
It's almost theatrical, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I can just picture it. The candles, the incense, the incantations. I love that dramatic flair. One line from the conjuration that really stuck with me was, "Come ye up promptly, and delay not to appear, and answer us with humility." I mean, wow.
Right. It sends shivers down your spine. You're commanding these forces, but you're also acknowledging their power. And the text stresses the importance of composure,
Oh, for sure. You have to be in control, especially when you're dealing with forces beyond the everyday.
There's no pleading or begging. It's about asserting your will within this magical framework.
It makes sense. You have to be confident, in command. But it's not just about words and willpower, right? The Key of Solomon also talks about these tools, these magical tools that are, they're imbued with power.
Yeah. The knife, the sword, the wand, the staff, each one has a very specific purpose. And even how you make them, the materials, the timing,
Yeah.
it's all very carefully outlined.
I love that attention to detail. It's like every element, every symbol has this deeper meaning. There's nothing arbitrary.
Exactly. Like with the knives, for example, there are different ones. One has a white hilt, and that's for, general operations, but there's another one with a black hilt, and that one's specifically for creating the protective circle.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like every tool has its own personality, its own energy. And, it's not just the tools themselves, it's the materials used to create them. Like even the ink, the paper, the type of feathers you use for writing.
Yeah.
It's also specific.
Nothing is arbitrary. You got it.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that aren't arbitrary, we have to talk about, the most iconic part of the Key of Solomon.
The pentacles. Oh, those have always captivated me. They're just so intricate, so mysterious. You can just feel the power radiating from them, can't you?
Definitely. And there are 7 sets of them, each with a different purpose.
7.
Mm-hmm. And the designs are, well, they're amazing, really. Each element, every line, every symbol, it's all very carefully chosen. There's a reason for everything.
It's like this visual language of magic.
Some pentacles offer protection, some are for attracting, love or wealth. Some are even said to have the power to, summon hailstorms or even earthquakes.
Earthquakes, that's a whole other level of power. I have to admit, that one makes me a little nervous.
I get it. It's a lot to take in.
It definitely is. And, it makes you realize that this isn't just, harmless fun. This is serious stuff. There's real power here. And that comes with responsibility.
Absolutely. And the Key of Solomon, it's actually very clear about that. It has all these warnings about using these powers for evil or selfish purposes.
Yeah.
It's constantly reminding you that this knowledge, it comes with a heavy responsibility.
Yeah, like that line, "Accursed be he who taketh the name of Almighty God in vain." That's a powerful statement. It is. It's a reminder that this isn't just about, spells and incantations. It's about aligning yourself with a higher purpose, a greater good.
Right. It's not just about personal gain. It's about using this knowledge for good, for the betterment of yourself and the world around you. It's like a moral code for magic.
That's a great way to put it. And that makes our deep dive even more interesting, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's not just about uncovering ancient secrets. It's about understanding the implications of those secrets, the responsibility that comes with them. It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves and asking, are we worthy of this knowledge? Can we handle it? It's profound, really.
It is. And you know what? That question, it's not just relevant to ancient magic, it's relevant to how we use power in our modern world too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Technology, knowledge, even social media, it's all a form of power. And we have to be mindful of how we use it, the impact it has on ourselves and others. I think the Key of Solomon is a great reminder of that.
It is. It's more than just a historical curiosity. It's a text that's still relevant today, in ways that we might not even realize at first.
Exactly. It's a text that speaks to something deep within us, this desire for knowledge, this fascination with the unknown.
And this need to understand ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have, but we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. There's so much more to explore.
So much more.
I can't wait. But for now, we'll have to leave our listeners with that tantalizing thought.
We will.
The mystery continues.
One thing that really stands out in the Key of Solomon is that it's not just about all this, theory and philosophy of magic. It's got all these practical applications, like actual experiments you can try out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like it gives you the tools and then says, go ahead, give it a shot. Which, is a little daunting, but also kind of exciting, right?
Yeah, it's like a hands-on guide to magic.
Exactly. And some of those experiments, they're pretty out there. Like the one for recovering stolen goods. I mean, it reads like a magical detective manual or something.
I know, right?
Like it tells you to create this prepared space, perform this whole conjuration, and then appeal to the spirits for help in finding, who took your stuff and where they hid it.
It's amazing.
And according to the text, the spirits, they'll totally tell you. Like they'll reveal the thief and the location of the stolen goods.
Oh, yeah. And it uses, these everyday objects, but in a very ritualistic way,
Yeah, like the sieve, right?
This sieve.
You hang it up, but not with just any old rope. You have to use a cord that a man was hanged with.
Wow.
I know, it's pretty intense. And then you spin the sieve, and while it's spinning, you're also stirring this basin of water with a laurel twig. It's like this whole this whole choreographed
It's
performance.
like a dance, almost.
Right. And then when everything finally stops moving, you gaze into the water.
And bam! The image of the thief appears.
It's incredible.
Like magic.
It really is. And it's not just seeing their face, right?
Yeah.
The text says you can, like, mark the thief's image with a magical sword, and that mark, it'll actually appear on the real person.
Wow.
I know. It's like this blend of ritual, symbolism, and like a belief in this really tangible connection between the physical world and the spiritual world. It's mind-blowing.
It really makes you wonder about the people who actually, practice these rituals. Like, what did they believe? Did they really think they could influence the world in these really direct ways?
That's a great question. And it's something that scholars have been debating for centuries, really.
Yeah.
Some people say these texts, they were, mostly symbolic, just reflecting this deep human desire for power and control.
Right.
But others, they believe that these were meant to be taken literally. Like these were practical guides for interacting with a spiritual reality that was very, very real to them.
And to them, it might not have even been that different from our understanding of like physics or chemistry. It was just another way of understanding how the world works.
Right. Like maybe magic was just another form of science to them.
Exactly.
It's fascinating to consider that shift in perspective. And, in a world that was full of so much uncertainty, it's kind of understandable that people would turn to magic for answers, for a sense of agency.
Absolutely. If you could control the forces that were shaping your life, even in a small way, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure. I mean, who hasn't wished for a little bit of magic in their lives, right? And the Key of Solomon, it gives us this glimpse into a world where the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual, they were a lot more fluid than they are today. And it was a world where human will, combined with the right knowledge and the right ritual, could potentially achieve some pretty extraordinary things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the Key of Solomon doesn't stop at just, recovering stolen goods. There are all sorts of other experiments, including one for, get this, invisibility.
Invisibility, that one always gets
I
like-
know. It was like straight out of a fantasy novel. And it involves like this specific concoction you have to apply at a particular time. And if you do it right, poof, you're gone, vanished into thin air.
I mean, who wouldn't want to try that?
Right. Sign me up.
Yeah.
But we all know a good magical text wouldn't be complete without, a little bit of love magic. What does the Key of Solomon have to say about matters of the heart?
Well, love magic is definitely a recurring theme. And again, the Key of Solomon, it really stresses the importance of ethics,
Right.
It's not about manipulating someone or forcing them to love you. It's more about, I guess, enhancing what's already there. Like if there's a natural attraction, you can, kind of nudge things along a little bit.
So you're working with existing energies, not trying to create something out of nothing.
Right.
That makes sense. I found this one experiment that was really intriguing. It involved creating like a special powder.
Right.
But it wasn't just any powder, right?
Right.
You had to go through all these rituals and conjurations to imbue it with these magical properties.
Like charging it up with intention,
Exactly. And then you would like sprinkle this powder on the person you desired.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe slip it into their food or drink.
Sneaky.
A little bit. But hey, all's fair in love and war, right?
Well, maybe. But the text does say that you should use like an apple,
An apple.
Yeah. And you inscribe it with these specific characters and names, all related to love and attraction. And you use that apple to like stir the powder to kind of activate its magic.
Okay, that's actually really beautiful. It's so symbolic, like the apple, it's this ancient symbol of love and temptation. And you're combining that with these carefully chosen words and this ritualistic preparation. It's really poetic in a way.
It is. It's not just about, throwing some ingredients together and hoping for the best. It's about infusing every step with intention, with purpose.
It's like a form of magical art almost.
Exactly. And even though it's love magic, the text is still very clear about, the need to use this knowledge responsibly.
Right. You're not trying to control someone or take away their free will. It's more about like opening up possibilities, creating opportunities.
Yeah, like planting a seed, but you can't force it to grow.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to that theme of of balance,
Yeah.
the balance between accessing this incredible power and using it ethically.
It's a constant theme in the Key of Solomon, for sure. And the text doesn't shy away from, from talking about the dangers, the potential consequences of crossing those boundaries.
Right, like there are all sorts of warnings about like spiritual backlash or even physical harm if you use this magic for selfish or harmful purposes.
It's almost like a cautionary tale woven into this whole world of magic and mystery.
It is. And that cautionary tale, it's relevant today too, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Like we might not be summoning spirits or casting spells, but we have a lot of power in our modern world.
More than ever before.
Exactly. And we have to be mindful of how we use that power.
We do. Because power without responsibility, it can lead to some pretty disastrous outcomes.
That's true. But if we approach this knowledge with a sincere heart, with a genuine desire to understand and to learn, I think the Key of Solomon, it offers us this really, really captivating glimpse into a world of magical possibilities.
It does.
And even if we approach it from a modern, maybe more skeptical perspective, there's still something undeniably compelling about it. It makes you wonder, what if there's more to this world than we can see?
It's that sense of wonder,
Yes. It encourages us to consider those unseen forces, those possibilities that lie just beyond our everyday perception.
It reminds us that even in a world that's so focused on, science and technology, there's still room for mystery, for the unexplained.
And maybe, just maybe, there's still a little bit of magic out there waiting to be discovered.
Maybe so.
Wow. We've really journeyed deep into the Key of Solomon, haven't we?
Oh.
Rituals, tools, pentacles, even those ethical dilemmas it throws at you.
It's a fascinating journey for sure.
It is. But like any good adventure, there are always more layers to uncover. Right?
Oh, absolutely. It's like peeling back an onion only to find another onion underneath.
And speaking of those layers, we can't leave without talking about those mystical alphabets. They really add another level of intrigue, don't they?
They do. Those names like the Celestial and what was the other one? Oh, Passing of the River.
Passing of the River. It sounds like something out of a mystical poem.
It does, doesn't it? And they weren't just alternative writing systems. They were believed to hold like a deeper power.
So it's not just about what you're writing, but how you're writing it.
Right, like deciphering them is said to unlock further levels of understanding, like a code within a code.
Do we know, like, specifically how these alphabets were used?
Well, scholars believe they were used to inscribe, the names of God, angels, spirits. It was about imbuing those names with an even greater potency.
So it's not just communication, it's like a form of magical empowerment through language.
Exactly. And it also points to the Key of Solomon's connection to Kabbalistic thought, this idea that there's a hidden structure to the universe, all these connections between the earthly and the divine.
It's really mind-blowing when you think about it. Like every letter, every symbol, every word, it all carries this weight, this power.
It's a different way of looking at language, and it makes you wonder if, in our modern world, with our focus on like logic and rationality, have we lost touch with that, with the power of words to shape reality?
It's a good question. I mean, we might not believe in like literal spells anymore, but words still have the power to inspire, to hurt, to heal, to change the world around us.
That's true. Words are powerful tools, and the Key of Solomon is, in a way, a testament to that power.
It is. And even if we approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism, there's still so much we can learn from it. Its symbolism, its rituals, its ethical framework, it all offers these incredible insights into the human psyche, into our longing for connection, for meaning, for, I don't know, maybe even for a little bit of magic in our lives.
And for, control over the forces that shape our lives.
That too. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Key of Solomon, what are some of the key takeaways you would want our listeners to remember?
Well, I would say approach it with curiosity, but also with a critical eye. It's a text that really rewards thoughtful study and reflection. Don't just skim the surface. Really delve into the symbolism, the historical context, the ethical implications.
And remember that it's not just a historical artifact, right?
Yeah.
It's a reflection of us, of our own desires, our aspirations, our fears.
It speaks to that part of us that wants to believe in the impossible, that yearns to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Maybe the real magic isn't about commanding spirits or, manipulating reality. Maybe it's about but understanding ourselves and our place in this grand, mysterious universe we inhabit.
Perhaps the key of Solomon is less about, unlocking the secrets of the universe and more about unlocking the secrets within ourselves.
I love that. And with that thought-provoking note, we've reached the end of our journey into the Key of Solomon. But like any good book, it's a journey that doesn't really end when you close the cover. The questions it raises, the ideas it sparks, those stay with you.
And who knows, maybe they'll inspire you to embark on your own explorations, to delve deeper into the mysteries of the world, both seen and unseen.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and never lose that sense of wonder.